A little after 7. Should I push broadcast?
Let's go.
Let's go. All right. All right. There we go.
All right. And I know we have a lot of people coming in tonight, but we also have a lot of people who are going to catch the replay. So I'll tell you all about that. But Coach Tucker.
Let's go.
Are we ready to go?
Let's go.
All right. Let's go. Okay. So first of all, welcome to Lax and Life Live. We are all here recording this right now with you guys here. And there will be a replay that'll be posted up on our YouTube channel. So if you search for Lax and Life Live, you'll find our account. Give us a couple days, but that'll be posted up there, as well as some links where you can find any camps or other information on our awesome guests. So you can follow up on that. But this is a series that has started out as a 3-part series, and we've made it into an ongoing because through the times that we're going right now, so many lacrosse players and athletes are asking for something to help keep them positive and redirect them with recruiting and training and getting their mindset positive and facing forward and all of that. So we're excited to be bringing that to you. It is hosted by myself. So Kate Lavelle. I've done a lot of lacrosse coaching. I did coaches education with US Lacrosse. I've written a little bit here and there. I do actually training and speaking for one of our awesome guests, Jon Gordon. And I'm going to introduce the incredible, amazing, you already know who she is, Coach Janine Tucker, who works over at Johns Hopkins women's lacrosse head coach there, has done a phenomenal job growing that program there for how many years have you been?
Just finished 27.
Whew,
27.
incredible. And started out as D3, right? Didn't it start out as D3? And then they were like, no, you're way too good. We're going to have to make you go play Maryland and Syracuse. And, you know, you're going. So all of that. And then you'll see her all over US Lacrosse and every other thing that has to do with lacrosse all over the world, including several books in her journal. So I'm going to let her say hello.
Well, hey, friends. So thanks again for joining us. And we're not going to waste much time because the guests that we have, I could not be more excited. It's kind of a 2-part thing. I've always been envious of Kate being able to work with Jon. And if you haven't read some of his books, you need to get on that. We're all stuck in the house. Get on reading some of the books. The Energy Boss and Training Camp are 2 of my faves. And I know he'll talk to you shortly. And then, you know, Megan Taylor and her Maryland Terrapins have kicked our butts for a while, and she's phenomenal, a phenomenal goalie. Liz Hogan out of Syracuse, phenomenal goalie, U.S. goalie. Coaching, both of them are coaching now, and so we'll have them share a little bit about themselves as well. But this is going to be a cool, uplifting, powerful hour, and let's get it going.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And hi guys, I'll let you all say hi. And then I'm going to introduce Jon. Jon, I'm going to introduce you. So he's just hanging out like he's super, he's super awesome. So I'm going to introduce him separately, but hi Liz. Hi Megan. Thank you guys for coming on. I want to introduce Jon Gordon. And so I do have I may have read a couple of his books here. So we've got The Power of Positive Leadership, The Power of a Positive Team. This one, if you're noticing a theme, positive maybe, this is awesome. All of these quotes in here, Jon Gordon, Daniel Decker. And then I love this book with Damon West that you wrote, The Coffee Bean. Honestly, if you're going to pick one book as an athlete right now that's going to be kind of a short read that can change your outlook, I would pick this one. This would be the one I'd hand out to all of my lacrosse players. And The Energy Bus, which I've given all my copies away, so I don't have it. So Jon, welcome, and tell us, did you play lacrosse maybe?
I did play lacrosse, and I just want to say hi, Kate. Hi, Janine. It's great to be on here with you. Hey, Megan. Hey, Liz. Incredible thing that you're doing here. I love this. Lax in life. Love Lax because, yeah, I played lacrosse, and it changed my life. The sport of lacrosse changed my life because I remember in 9th grade, I was on the basketball team, freshman team, playing basketball. Lacrosse coach saw me play, and he said, hey, I think you should play lacrosse. And so he asked me to come out for the lacrosse team. Went out for the lacrosse team, couldn't catch, couldn't throw. First time ever doing it. Tried to quit. This is Tony Chiazza. He's a coach on Long Island, and he would not let me quit. He said, you're going to play in college one day. You're going to play in the Ivy League. And I didn't even know what the Ivy League was. Oh, wow. I thought, that sounds great. He's encouraging me. Okay, I'm going to stay with it. I stayed with it. Had a hernia my sophomore year. Didn't even play. Junior year, didn't even see the field. I never played. And finally, I wanted to playing college. I realized, okay, I have a shot at playing college for lacrosse if I actually worked at it, because I knew I was a good athlete. I saw other people going to college. Dan Donnelly played at North Carolina. I said, Dan, how do I get better? Dan said, work the wall. So I quit basketball. I was a starting point guard. I quit. I worked the wall every single day in the off season, came ready for the spring. And I told coach I want to play first midfield. He laughed at me because I wasn't good. I said, just give me a shot. He gave me a shot. And next thing you know, I got recruited. I played at Cornell, and it changed my life.
That's awesome. That's a good story.
I love that. And it's kind of funny when I met John, I remember him saying he played lacrosse at Cornell, and I thought that's so cool. My dad played lacrosse at Cornell, of course, before you were there, but really cool to kind of have that in common. I love that. So, so John, how's your 2020 going?
Oh, it's going awesome. What's funny about that is in terms of 2020, like in the beginning of the year, I was crushing 2020. I think most of us were like, yes, we were having the best year ever. January, February, beginning of March, everyone I talked to, like everyone was having the best year ever. And then the world put on the brakes. Somehow the world just seemed to stop. And ever since, it's been a challenge, but I've also learned so much. I've grown so much. I've become better because of it in so many ways. The world is obviously struggling right now. We're having so many challenges. A lot of things are coming to the surface, but I just had Doc Rivers on my podcast, and he said the best words ever. He said, everyone feels like 2020 is over already. Like they're already done. It's the worst year ever. I'm done. He goes, it's only June. It's halftime. We still have another half to go. Let's go win it. And I just love that. Like that, when he said that to me, I was like, I'm going to use that from now on. That is so encouraging to look at it that way. So we can't focus on what would have been, because it would have been awesome. We have to focus on making it what it will be, and we can still make it great.
I love that. And Janine and I were just talking recently about coaches and how they're struggling at this point. They're really tired of coaches. Don't like to sit behind a desk. So you put coaches behind a desk and tell them you're going to do everything over Zoom. We get a little nutty, right? And so, how do you encourage a coach? And I was talking to her on the phone about, well, what encouragement can we give? And she said, well, I think they need some tough love, or some love tough, as we do, right, with Jon Gordon Companies. And, that halftime speech that we give them when they think nothing's coming together and we get them excited, like it's time to walk the walk and turn around and give ourselves a halftime talk. And so I love that, you pulled that out as well. I'm looking down. I know it's away from the camera, but you're down there like in the Brady Bunch window. But I love that halftime idea. I think it applies in so many different ways. And you have a really cool analogy that you use with baseball. And I want to talk, so we have goalies on here, right? We have some really amazing goalies on here tonight. And so when you're a goalie, now, so you can, Liz and Megan, you can update me on the current numbers, but when even a fantastic goalie is, where are you in the percentage for saves for even a great goalie?
Meg, the only goalie to win a tour, and what was your
what is it? What's your save percentage?
I don't know what mine personally was. I would always we had like a sticker chart, and I would get a sticker at Maryland if I was above 50%, so that was kind of my goal. Just to be above 50, a lot of times that didn't happen, but I think it's also kind of cool. One of my favorite sayings is just save all the ones you're supposed to, and like 1 or 2 game-changing saves. And then I think as a goalie, you can just kind of say, I did my job.
Yeah, I love that. And so, John, you talk about how baseball is a game of failure. And I thought, wow, this really applies, because as a goalie, you cannot go in there and expect to save 100% and then be upset about 50% when the top goalie in the world is hoping to make 50%. That means even if you're doing everything you can, you're still letting half of them in. So, John, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, that's such great advice. I think 50% was my face-off win percentage, so I don't think that was that great at Cornell, but as I'm hearing 50%. But when I would travel around and speak to a lot of the baseball teams, which I've done during spring training, they would always say baseball's a game of failure. Like, even if you're, a Hall of Famer, you're still failing 2 out of 3 times. An average player, you're failing 3 out of 4 times. It's a game of failure, because we're talking about at bats. Like, think about it, you're a 250 batter, you're not doing great, but you're still in the major leagues. A Hall of Famer, like over 300, and yet like you are an incredible player, and yet you're still failing all of those times. And so they kept on saying it's a game of failure. It's a game of failure. It's hard to stay positive. And I remember thinking, no, it's not a game of failure. It's a game of opportunity, because every at-bat is an opportunity to make the next one great. Well, as a goalie, it's the same way. You have the opportunity to make the next save. Doesn't matter if it if the last shot went in, but you could save the next one. So it's always about looking forward in terms of the opportunity, not what happened in the past.
I love that. I mean, what do you guys think of that as goalies? I'm asking the experts here. How do you guys feel about that? And did that mindset help you all? I'll go with Liz. You want to? I'm looking down. You can't see where I'm looking.
Sure. Actually, I learned something similar from when I coached golf at high school as well, which is funny because I actually don't play golf at all, but I learned along the way. And, you know, something that the head golf coach told me was, you know, what would you say if, you know, after you shot your worst game of golf on the first hole, what would you say if I told you, you know, you're going to have the best game of golf in your life, right? Like, because there's still 17 more holes. And that's kind of how I started approaching goalie is, you know, the shot that went in doesn't really dictate what's going to come in front. And I think that's the same in baseball as well, right? Like the next pitch really isn't determined by whether you swung on the next one or not. You know, you're in control of the future. So I really like that saying of, you know, it's an opportunity because that's really what it is. Whether you're playing golf or goalie or, you know, taking a swing at the good old baseball there.
And then maybe you can learn also, right? Like, you may have let a goal go in, but you learned something during that time. You learned how they were shooting. You learned where they're shooting at. And so you're able to adjust. So it's not really a failure. You're not failing. You're becoming. You're
right.
growing. You're getting better as the game goes along. So you can look at it that way too.
For sure. I love that.
That's awesome. I wanted to ask you about just your thoughts. And I know that you talk about communication a lot with your teammates and having the hard conversations. Now, for a goalie, you're talking about having a hard conversation with your defense under pressure in the moment. And this is where we see a lot of breakdown happen on the field, right? When the goalie is communicating to the defense and it can, you know, under that time crunch, it may not come across in a way that lifts people up. And then we can see that breakdown happening. So with communication under pressure, do you have any advice for that, John?
Well, I think the key is to make sure you're communicating a lot in practice. So you need to communicate in practice at a very intense level so that when it's game time, you're used to that. It's like Navy SEALs or people in the military, they train for like real live events and what it's going to be like. And so you have to actually train. And the more you can train and communicate in practice. So I would actually make my communication very intense in practice and make sure you're doing it over and over and over again and actually work on the communication. And as you do that, when you're under pressure in a game, you'll communicate better. But when you do mess up during a game, that's where, as the leader, right, the goalie has to make sure they're leading the defense, not going off on them, but staying positive, but also making adjustments and corrections. And we got to keep our level head. Now, are we always going to do that? No. Sometimes we actually will get frustrated. We might get angry. That happens. Again, that's another learning opportunity to grow in that moment when we do break down. As a parent, I would yell at my kids, and then I would say, okay, I can't do that again. I got to make sure I'm more positive the next time that happens, and I approach it in a positive way. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. It becomes a skill.
Love that. And I was just thinking, I know we're gonna let you run off here in a couple minutes. I just want to ask you real quick about that love and accountability, because I think that comes in when you're doing that communication, not just on the field but off the field. Can you touch on that, how that balance there?
Well, you know it well, Kate. We teach that to a lot of businesses, and you're very good at that, doing this with a lot of companies and organizations, and you teach it so well. It's about making sure that you have love and accountability when you're leading. Your team has to know you love them, and if they know you love them, you earn the right to challenge them. I think so often we have too much accountability and not enough love. So we're always pushing, we're always driving, but if the players don't feel loved, if your teammates don't feel loved, they're not going to listen to you. They're going to tune you out. And then sometimes we have too much love, not enough accountability. Everyone gets along, everyone has great relationships, and no one wants to rock the boat, but you're not getting great together. You're not becoming great. You're not working on the things you need to work on. You're not having standards and holding each other accountable to those standards. So we need both. We need love and accountability together. So we have standards. This is what we expect of each other. It's what I expect of you. And this is what you can expect from me. And this is what you can expect from us. These are our standards. We're going to live up to those standards. And if everyone would understand that, and love each other in the process of growing and becoming, you're going to be a great team. I've never seen a team that loves each other that much that also wants to be great. I've never seen them need a lot of rules because they actually show up every day to be great together. Would you say that's true, Janine, in your experience? I mean, you have more experience than all of us. So, I mean, would you agree with that?
I agree wholeheartedly. And I think just what we talk to our girls a lot about, and I can't wait to hear what Liz and Megan feel as well, is balance. just balance in life. So balance when you're getting in somebody's face, balance when you're telling them how awesome they are. If you check yourself and make sure that you're trying to keep that balance between love and accountability, that's when really powerful things can happen with the group. The one thing, John, though, that I also want you to maybe touch on, and same with Meg and Liz, is the communication piece. Because you can have a lot of love and you can really want to hold somebody accountable, but if you don't have the strength and the courage to use your voice to be able to bring both of those things to fruition, you're not going to get anywhere and things are going to be very stagnant. So I think that for a lot of the young women on our call, being able to find and use your voice in lots of different situations, like you said, try it every day at practice so you get more comfortable, I think is a really important piece as well.
Yeah, I'd love to hear what Megan and Liz have to say on that. I'd love to learn from them, actually.
Me too.
Who's
Meg?
going first?
All right.
Meg's it.
I think that the communication piece and just being vocal, I think it kind of starts with knowing your team outside of the lacrosse field. I think having that respect for one another allows that communication to really succeed, because if I respect the people I play with and respect the people I play against, then they're going to respect what I tell them. And to say like level-headed, I think that's just like overall thing about any position on the field. I think if you're able to stay level-headed and kind of communicate without getting, over dramatic, oh, the world's gonna like crash on us because we got scored on. Like, it's a lacrosse game. There's so much time on the clock. You can score in 10 seconds or less, like no big deal. I think being level-headed in that sense, like, okay, how did that happen? And taking ownership, I think, is really important, because there's plenty of times where I'm just like, after goal goes in, the defense is trying to figure out what they could do better. And at the end of the day, it's just, I come in and I go, that's my bad. Like, I can't expect you guys to do anything besides what you did. And having that ownership that I did allows them then to take that ownership when they feel like that was their bad, or vice versa. And then my final thing is probably, you got to give credit to the shooters, or whatever sport you're playing. I mean, if it's a good shot, it's a good shot. And you can talk so much or communicate about it after the goal, but I mean, they're talented kids and talented players, and I always just give credit. I'm like, wow, that was really awesome.
Love that.
Such a great perspective. How about you, Liz?
That's so true. I agree with everything you guys have said so far. I think sometimes my younger players really struggle with just frankly like what to say, because they're so and I'm at fault as well, but using our phones to text, to send messages, we're never really actually talking in our life anymore, I feel like. So something I tell them is, just verbalize what you would say in a text message, right? Like, you're going to ask someone to meet you somewhere. You got to say a time and a place, just like you would say where the ball is and, who's got it. And then it's also appropriate to respond. Like, no one likes to have a text message unanswered. So if I'm telling one of my defenders something, like, I'm hoping they're saying, I got you, or yeah, totally, I see it. I got that girl. So trying to make them think of it as a conversation of information rather than me dictating to you, or vice versa. So that's kind of how I explain it to them. Or just using like, tell it like a story. I saw this and then I think I saw this happen. Like, what did you see? Trying to make it more about a solution orientation than dictating downward trend like that. So that's kind of, again, the biggest thing I've seen more is just, what do I even say?
Yep.
And I think you have to earn the trust of your teammates as well. I think you have to develop that connection, and you have to basically, before you can call someone out or have a difficult conversation, you have to actually develop a relationship with that person. I always say you have to earn the right to speak into that person and to be constructive in a positive way if you're a leader. And so you have to develop a relationship with your teammates. If you knew someone had your best interest in mind, would you be more open to the feedback? Of course you would. They had your best interest. A lot of times we get in, we don't really know each other. We start telling each other what to do and we start resenting it, and we wind up having issues. Or no one wants to tell anybody anything because they want to stay silent. I think that's becoming a more frequent problem in this younger generation, is no one wants to rock the boat. So Coach, I believe, and Kate and I talk about this a lot, you have to make sure that you bring people into the conversation and get them leading conversations. Coaches, get your teammates and team members to have voices, get them to speak, have them come into practice, and they got to talk about something. They got to present something. They got to share something, and just have them present. and have a couple presentations a day, even before practice. And the more you do that, they're going to get more confident in speaking. They're going to find their voice, and actually that will help them on the field. And you can talk about even what's going on in the world and the issues that are coming up and everything. You can just talk about that. I know a lot of coaches that have been doing that, and those coaches seem to have very successful teams as a result of getting people to talk, share, and find their voices.
That's so big. I think we spend so much time with kids in school, starting out at a very young age. I've even noticed, I know when my kids were growing up, they had a tape line. They had to walk on the tape line, and they weren't allowed to talk. And they weren't allowed to talk at lunch anymore because they didn't get to finish eating lunch if they talked at lunch. And so then we get them at sports, and they've been basically told not to have a voice. And so they come out, and we have to reteach them. And so I love that idea of just giving them opportunities to have a voice and to remember that there are time and places where we need to speak up and we need to speak out. And that's one of them, so that they can learn to communicate, not just, this is lax in life, right? Not just on the lacrosse field, not just with practice, but in life in general. We need to speak up and speak out and live from that inside out, which I know we talk about, John, a lot of times too. So John, do you have any closing? I want to throw out John's new book that's coming out, but do you have anything you want to leave these awesome athletes and coaches with before I know you got to jump off? Yeah,
I'd love to share this with anyone I can. It's my favorite piece of advice. It's about talking to yourself. Don't listen to yourself. So someone, I always get asked, what's your favorite piece of advice? And it's from Dr. James Gills, the only person on the planet to complete 6 double Ironman triathlons. That's a double Ironman, which means you do an Ironman, and then a day later you do another one. And he was asked how he did it. And he said, the last time he did it, he was 59 years old. And he was asked how he did it. He said, I've learned to talk to myself instead of listen to myself. I listen to myself, I hear all the negative, all the fear, all the doubt, and all the complaints. But if I talk to myself, I can feed myself with the words and the encouragement that I need to keep on moving forward. And I think now more than ever during this time, we got to talk to ourselves, not listen to ourselves, because there's a lot of negative thoughts coming in, a lot of fear coming in, a lot of doubt, a lot of uncertainty, and that will wreak havoc on us. So we got to constantly talk to ourselves. We got to feed ourselves every day with the positive so that we can feed others. If you don't have it, you can't share it. So every day we need to feed ourselves with the positivity to feed others. And this is not Pollyanna positive. This is not about seeing the world through rose-colored glasses, right? This is knowing that you have the power to overcome the thorns. And we're not positive because life is easy. We're positive because life is hard. So this is real optimism, real belief. And that's how we're going to get through this time. I know a lot of students have been home right now. They sort of feel like they're not with their teammates. They feel isolated in many ways. A lot of us are struggling right now, and we're dealing with fear and stress and anxiety. And the way we overcome is to just show up every day and win today. Kate and I talk about this a lot. We win today. Don't worry about tomorrow. Don't worry about the future. Just win today. When I lost 90% of my speaking business in March and everything was canceled pretty much for the next 6-7 months, I said to myself, all right, just win every day. It's all you got to do is win each day, show up, be positive, make a difference, and great things will happen. And you know what? That's what's happened. We've done so many amazing things. We had so many opportunities come our way as a result of just staying positive. Matthew McConaughey on my podcast. I mean,
that was awesome, by the way.
That would not have happened if it wasn't during this time. I was like, all right, what am I going to do this time? All right, I'm going to spend more time on my podcast. It's not a challenge. It's an opportunity. So I said, who can I get? Oh, I know the Texas AD. I work with Texas football and Texas sports. Okay, Matthew McConaughey's a big guy. Hey, can you ask Matthew if he want to be in my podcast? I thought he'd say, nah, I can't. He said, yeah, I'll ask him. He asked him. He said yes. Next thing you know, he was on. I mean, that would never happen otherwise. So I think it's about finding something positive in the negative. Even right now, what's going on in our country, right, with COVID and everything else. I think there's so many positives that are coming out. Yes, there's riots. Yes, there's a lot of issues coming up. But at the same time, we're now discussing major issues that are going to make us all better in the long run. And if we heal from it and we truly heal, we're going to become a stronger nation in the future. That's our choice, right? Each person has that choice if we're going to heal and grow from it. And if we will, then it's going to be great in the future. So it's all about how we look at everything.
And I know we talk about how great teams have the hard conversations, and, we are a gigantic, great team of human beings that are having the hard conversations so that we can move forward. So that's huge. And I know, John, you've got a new book. I'll let you just let them know, because I think it's going to be amazing. I've already read it, so I got the sneak peek. Get the inside scoop. But if you just want, I know you have a couple of books coming out, but you have one that's immediately coming out. You want to just touch on that real quick?
Kate and I have a great relationship, and she feels very comfortable being honest with me. And she said, "Look, you need to rework the introduction. I just want you to know that you're better than that." And that was great advice. I said, "Okay, make me better." All right,
Do you
Coach.
still like me? I'm sorry.
All right, Coach, you got it. I said, hey, I've written 20 books, Kate, but it's fine. I'll change it. But and she was right. She was right, and she made me better. So it's like, can you get better? Are you willing to grow? Are you willing to improve? So yeah. So the book's called The Garden. It's better because of Kate, and it's about two teenagers dealing with fear, stress, and anxiety, and it's about the 5 Ds they have to overcome to find their faith, to find their destiny, to find their future. It is a spiritual book. I want people to understand that. It's not like my other books. There's a spiritual component to it, but it is a spirit. It's a spiritual strength that will help you get through the challenges. So do you have doubt? Do you have lies coming in your mind a lot? Distortion, that's the second D. Do you have discouragement? Do you have distractions? And is there division? And the word anxious literally means divided. So I think we have a lot of division going on in ourselves and in the country. And so you want to understand how to overcome those 5 Ds. That's what The Garden is all about.
Awesome.
It's at the end of June.
Awesome. John, thank you so much for coming in, spending some time with us. I know we've coined the Zoom butt term now because we're all sitting on Zooms all day, and like we were all shaped like our chairs now, I think, at this point. But I appreciate you like sneaking us into your crazy schedule. If you guys have anything you want to say before he hops out, or just want to say hi or bye.
What are y'all going to talk about now as you go forward after I leave? What are you going to talk about?
Mental toughness from these goalies. Like that's a special breed of athlete that chooses to get into the goal. And so we want to just suck the life out of them and get all their secrets and share it with everybody.
I love that, Janine. All right, I'm gonna let you go so that you can hear from the real experts, because I talk in theory. Now you're gonna talk about how they live it every day. So
thanks, John.
All right, great meeting you, Megan. Great meeting you, Liz. Take care. Thanks, Janine.
See ya. Take care.
Thank you, John. All right, awesome. So how awesome is he?
Well, every time like I interact or hear or watch a webcast or listen to a podcast, you just like start shaking. You just get so excited. He's got that kind of way of getting people going. So I appreciate you having him on, Kate. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it. All right. So you know what? I think we need to dig into some goalie stuff. Right? You guys ready for this? Because I'll tell you what, people have questions and they ask me and I'm like, I don't know. Let's have a webinar with people who know. So let's dig in, and then I'm going to let you guys, if you think of something else that the question leads to, then you just go. You know what I mean? You go with it. All right. So I'm going to throw it in, and then Coach Tucker, you throw in whatever you've got over there. But all right. One of the biggest things that I hear, especially, lacrosse is growing across the country. It's all over the place. So I'm in Minnesota, Minneapolis right now, and I watched it grow out here, and it's incredible. But I know that most coaches do not have the knowledge or the resources to train a goalie. So what happens is, you're lucky if you have an assistant coach. The goalie gets sent over to train by themselves, or their training is, here's how you put on the gear, stand in that net while we shoot 8 meters, right? And I know you guys have been there. I've got 2 kids that are goalies, so I've heard the stories, right, when they come home. So how do you stay connected, any suggestions with the team when you feel like sometimes you're training separately, you're not doing the same exact drills that your team's doing? Was that an issue for you guys, and what did you do about it? And I'm gonna throw it to Liz to start off with.
Actually, a funny story. When I was in high school, I distinctly remember one day I was leaving practice and the majority of the team was crying, and I was like, why is everyone crying? Like, what happened that I wasn't aware of? Like, that's how far removed I was that day from whatever they were doing. And mind you, I have a twin sister, so like she was right there too, and I was like, what went on today? Like, am I missing something? So I think that's so true. Like, sometimes as goalies, like, we're literally like and figuratively in our own world. But I think the best part is when you do get to, those 7-on-7 situations or man up, when you do get to interact with your with your teammates and your defenders, you know, really valuing that time, valuing the huddles, making an effort. We used to do like D dinners and, you know, trying to work things outside of the actual practice so that we could really get to know each other. Because going back to the communication, right, like you build that bond, it becomes so much easier, right? Like if I'm really good friends with those teammates, then telling them on the field becomes infinitely easier. So really making a concerted effort in practice when you do have that opportunity, but, you know, outside of practice too, just getting to know them for who they are.
You brought up that really important term that I use with my teams all the time is that D unit, is grouping your goalie into or even running like the captain of the ship of the defense. So it's not the defense and the goalie, like pulling them together as one unit. When I started doing that as a coach, which was such a duh moment, I don't know why I wasn't doing it before, but I was like, oh, that's how I can get them involved and not battling each other all the time, you know? Megan, what do you got?
Yeah, I think what you guys said is great. One of the things that I personally always try to do, like especially in high school or youth, you know, like you only have, especially at the youth level, 2 coaches, if that. Like you have a coach and an assistant coach. You might just be like a team parent at that point. So like any chance you get to the field early, I always just wanted to grab a person and like, you know, talk and partner pass. Like I think there's been more talking than partner passing. And you know, it's different every time. You want to grab someone you haven't, maybe even an attacker. Some of my, like, I know probably how all of my attackers play because I get to watch them. So now I get to like practice and like they're teaching me behind the backs, these silly things I'll never use, but then we're making memories and just enjoying each other. And I think that kind of translates to the field. And when you are by yourself, I mean, take advantage of it. I think that's something that a lot of people can kind of think negatively on. I like the quote that John said, talk to yourself or listen to yourself. When you are by yourself, like take that as an advantage, like, you know, juggle, do wall ball, like make it so like, okay, when I get back on that field and that goal, I'm going to be like lights out. I'm going to try and make my attackers better and my defense better. And I think that mindset will definitely help with that type of separation.
You guys, can I just ask you to dig a little bit deeper with that? Because I do think this is, you know, something that does happen in goalie world. If you have another goalie, if you're fortunate enough to have another goalie and both of you are maybe without a coach, but you have each other, could you maybe talk about, you know, is it important to get reps in footwork? Is it, sometimes I see you guys, there is no ball involved, but you're repping kind of your movements. Is that something, like, give us some suggestions of what you and maybe a buddy might do while you're on your own instead of, you know, swatting at butterflies. You're certainly making those connections, but can you give us a little more dirt in that area?
Or swatted butterflies. I mean, if that's, I mean,
playing a little bucket ball, Meg.
That's how they get right?
Actually, at US practice, I don't know what the attackers were doing. They were like shooting, and the defenders were like doing some crazy footwork drill, and we're like, "No, we're not doing this." Yeah. So we got like a little Home Depot bucket, and we're just like trying to get it in the bucket for. Like,
and we were like 20 yards out. It was hard.
Yeah, I love it.
We had a lot of fun with it though. But yeah, I think that's like part of it. I think it's hard for a goalie, kind of touching on that. You do have typically someone else there with you, right? And it's either you or them. Like there's no subbing on the fly for goalie world. It's, you know, you're in there and maybe you'll switch at halftime. But for most of us, it's you're either there or you're riding the pine. But you do form these really like unique and special relationships with your goalie friends if you allow yourself. Like I know even just from the one weekend with Meg, like she is an awesome person. We had so much fun. My goalie's at Syracuse, like we just had a blast. So really kind of digging into that relationship. And you know, obviously you can get reps. I think visualization is key for goalies. You can always throw a ball and aim to turn things around the field, but like visualization, and again, just grow those relationships while you're have that time to yourself.
Yep. Meg,
yeah, I think like if you're fortunate enough to have more than one goalie, I think it's awesome. I think it's someone you can kind of rebound with each other. You know, it's tough. I always tell people like it's a mentally tough position. You know, having that person that's going through it with you, that's how you create those bonds. You know, you get hit with the ball, you want to tell somebody like, "Oh my God, I got hit! Did you see that?" Like you say,
when the coach tells you to sprint, you're like, "Okay,
yeah, exactly,
you're right there."
And just that you do have that person, so now you can both make each other better. I think that's one of the cool things. Like each goalie's different, and I think that's no goalie's ever going to play the same. So kind of learning from each other. And, I'll see Liz do something and, maybe I'll try it and see if it works for me, or if it doesn't, I can toss it. And I think that's kind of the cool part of having one or two or three goalies, is each brings a different like strength and you can learn from each other. And then with the part of practice, when you guys are apart and, not being in a drill and you have each other, like I said earlier, take advantage, juggle with each other, or even just use the pull of your stick and have a person toss the ball. I think that for me personally, that's a drill that I think is really useful. It makes me get my body behind it, makes me just focus a little bit harder too, because sometimes, I can just kind of go through motions with my goalie partner, because, no one's really watching us. So having that drill to kind of keep you focused or make a competition out of it, I think that can really make it fun and just exciting when you have two goalies. And the bucket drill, even that, like, let's see who can get more than one, or something exciting to keep practice and keep you engaged. So when you do go back in the goal, you're ready and you're excited and you're cheering each other on.
Coach Tucker, what do you look for as a recruiting coach when you're looking at camps and you're looking at games? What kind of interaction are you looking to see, maybe even in warm-ups or in between games, to see how your goalies are interacting with the rest of the team, to know that that's going to be a great fit overall?
I think everybody has their own favorite things they look for. First and foremost, what is the main job? Like, are you going to stop the ball? I don't really care what that looks like, but if you're going to be able to stop the ball, you're going to turn my head. But for me, a goalie is truly the quarterback of the defense. So I look for someone who is out there high-fiving. I love a goalie. Liz, you may not like to hear this, but I love a goalie that sprints all the way down the field to high-five her attacker and then has to haul her butt all the way back to get back in the goal, right? I just think that's what a leader does, and a quarterback. And, we always say it never comes, it's never one person's responsibility. Our goalies know that ball's got to get through everybody else before it gets to them. But I loved what Meg said earlier. I look for goalies who are absolutely able to own, that was my bad. My bad. I got you, people. Just drive them out a little off angle and I'll get the next one. That to me is infusing confidence back into the defense, who feels badly that you just got scored on anyway, right? So I think for me, I love active goalies. I love goalies who are flying out of the cage to intercept something, but I will take a goalie that never leaves that goal circle if she's stopping that ball. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, love that. Well, I have two different scenarios, so I'm going to let you guys pick which scenario, Megan and Liz, which one that you want to answer. Okay, so scenario one is you guys are up by lots and lots of goals and the ball's not coming down to your end very often. How do you stay engaged and focused? Because what happens a lot of times is you're doing great and then you don't see the ball for a while. When it comes down, someone gives you this little dinky shot and you're like, oops, because you took a nap, right? So there's scenario one. Scenario two is it's overtime. It's a high stakes game and it's close, or it's tied, or you're up by one, whatever. How do you keep yourself from getting completely, crazy at that moment and stay focused, not let the pressure get to you? So whichever one you want to grab, whoever grabs it first wins.
Liz, you can pick.
Oh, of course, Meg, of course. Oh, man. All right. Well, I guess I'll take the one where you're up by a lot. Kind of relates back to what we were just talking about. But I'm a huge person of visualization. And, I think Janine kind of alluded to it earlier, but, practicing those saves, like physically making the motions, but also having in your mind's eye that other team, maybe it's the attacker that scored all the goals so far, like actually taking your dodge, winding up, seeing the shot all the way into your stick. So you still get the physical movement, and yeah, you may look a little ridiculous and someone may be like, dude, what are you doing? But I mean, you get the physical reps, but the mental reps, whether you're up or down, like that's huge, because you need to see yourself doing it the way you want to do it in order to succeed. I always tell my goalies, like right now, even if you can't get out, like just visualize yourself making like the perfect save, like smell the grass, feel it going in your stick. but also visualize it going in the goal. Like, what does that feel like, and how are you reacting, so that you're practicing that emotion and that recollection and how to move forward. So to me, it's all, mental and, get that physical movement in, but, keeping your mind sharp and literally like being in a movie theater and it's coming right at you, like 3D.
I like that.
Awesome. Liz, I'm so happy you picked the first one because I really wanted the second one.
Oh, there you go.
I love overtime and close games. I think that is I want to play against the best. I want to be in those type of situations. I want to just relive those type of moments too. Like when on a boring day, I'm like, oh, that was so much excitement and so much craziness. But one of my favorite things to do is in those tight games is stay dialed, dial in just a little bit harder. So maybe, I'm not focused on so much what's going on beside me. I'm more focused and tuned in on that ball. And I just allow myself to take a deep breath. You can always tell if somebody's tense when they're holding their stick a little too tight, or their shoulders are coming in. So remember, at the end of the day, we all love lacrosse. We all want to win, but win or lose, it's a team effort. So take that deep breath and allow yourself to just play your game. I always laugh when people kind of tense up. I'm like, this is why we play. We want to play against this high level, this high intensity moment. And sometimes it's going to go your way and sometimes it's not. But the most important thing is you put your best effort out and you don't tense up. And if you do make that save, okay, next thing, reset. You got to make it clear. The game's not over. They can come
Don't rebound it. No.
The game's not over.
I saved it. Oh.
And hopefully you just win the draw and they don't even come down.
Right. Megan and Liz, I want to ask you both this because Megan, you answered that question with such excitement that it almost sounds to me, whether you were really fired up in that moment or not, you convinced yourself you were, you say it all the time to yourself, evidently. And for me, I think there's a lot of power in that. How kind of people say, fake it till you make it or fake it till you become it. If you constantly tell yourself, I live for the big games, I live for overtime, I want it to, go ahead and give it your best shot. I feel like you start to really believe that. And you that came off of you, you're, so really good. And so that's such a powerful piece of advice. And I bet both of you are kind of freaky like that, where you're bring it. I live for this. And that's that mental piece. You're not questioning, am I going to make the save? You're let's go, try me. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I know we're living in fear of not getting it. I think so many goalies they're more afraid of missing than they are excited about the opportunity to stop it.
Can you guys talk a little bit about that? I think that's pretty powerful.
I think it's kind of funny, but some people, they say, how you dress is kind of how you play. And for me, I don't speak much outside of lacrosse. When I'm on the field, I'm a different person. And I like to say, as soon as you put that eye black on, you put that helmet on your head, it gives you permission to be whoever you want to be. You can be that intense person. And for me, it's putting on the eye black. And then as soon as I put that helmet on, I literally feel like I just have a different swagger about me. And some people don't get it. I'm it's just like Beyonce and Sasha Fierce. She had her alternate personality, right? I know the things that I do on the field may not be my personality, but it is who I am as a gamer. And so for me, the physical awareness of some people step over the line. For me, putting on that helmet just brings me to a different level of confidence. And kind of same with Meg. I'm bring it down here, show me what you got, and then normally me as a person, I'd be absolutely not. I don't want any part of that. I don't like confrontation. I don't like that. But in goalie world, it's something about the helmet. No one can see you. I don't know, but part of it for me is how you dress, is how you play. So
if anyone wants to start something with Liz, ask her to put her helmet on first. And then it's going down.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
What do you think about that? That's Liz, that's freaking awesome. That just gave me chills. What do you think, Meg?
I think I love that. I also think that it's one of those things, if you feel confident, I think that's going to allow your defense to feel confident. I think as soon, I don't want to say they look at you, but they know you have you have their back, and I know I'm going to have their back. And I think that allows them to play with a little bit more confidence. And, if you have a goalie that's head up after she gets a goal scored on her right before overtime and she's ready, I think it kind of translates all the way down the field. And I think that type of attitude makes it exciting for the defenders to play. And, they don't feel like they're on eggshells. They can just if they see an interception, they might go for it. It might not work out, but they know that they have a confident goalie who, the ball could go in. At the end of the day, it could. But they know that they can take those risks because that's how that style of defense plays, or that's how they wanted to take that moment of, it just allows them to play, not think.
Would you both say then, what I'm pulling from that is you actually pay attention to your body language? Would you both say that you have that in your souls, and that that if your head drops, your shoulders drop, that's probably not good? Can you talk a little bit about the importance of body language, even versus your opponent, your own team? Because that's a big deal for me, and I would love to hear your guys' thoughts.
Meg, you want to take this? I'll go after.
Sure. Just like in general, I kind of touched on it last one, but that body language, I really do believe, for me, the body language, I get scored on, the first person I'm looking at is our draw girl. And if she's lining up confident, that kind of brings me back to my center. So I can only imagine who, the attackers might be facing me, so they might see me. I just think it goes down the field. And when you do drop that shoulder, you slam the pipe, that's just filling up the opponent. Like, that's what I laugh at. Like, I can kind of read on an 8-meter, like if I'm in someone's head or they're a little timid right away because of how they line up. So I might try to just line, even if I know they're going to score, like I know they have the best shot in the whole world, I'm just like, fake it until you make it, because they don't know that. And I think that translates. But as soon as you hit that pipe, the attacker knows, like, she's going to come now and try to ram it down your throat one more time. Yep. So I think just having that composure and take a deep breath, and next play mentality is huge.
I love that perspective, because I've thought of it from the coach perspective. I think of it from the player's perspective on your own team. But I guess I'd never put my, that spin on it of the attackers. You're giving confidence to the attackers on the other team. You're really asking for them to come down and keep giving you the same. That's really a powerful perspective to think about. It really goes all over. What do you got, Liz?
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like I learned a lot from my head coach at Syracuse, Gary Gait. For those of you guys that don't know him, he is about as chill as they come. I think I saw him yell maybe 3 times in my career. He certainly never yelled at us. He was always at officials. But there was this one time I'll never forget. I think we had, there was a team beating us by running clock in the first half. Like, we were getting absolutely rocked. And he came into the locker room, and we have couches in our locker room. He just lays down. He's like, well, that wasn't great. Like, not to be like demeaning, but just kind of like, well, that's kind of how it played. He's like, so what do you guys want to do now? Like, super chill, like, everything is going to be okay. And I just think as players, instead of Gary coming in and like reaming us a new one, be like, what are you doing? We got this sense of comfort and composure of like, okay, like, what are we going to do? Like, if they could do this to us in one half, we can certainly do this in another half. And that was really the first time I think I became aware of how, what you're saying and your emotions and your body language is saying can really affect an entire team.
Yep.
And I'm definitely not the best at it still. Like, there's times when you get fired up and you just can't control it. But by and large, kind of what Meg said, pick it up, pop it to the officials, give someone a stick tap. I find it's like something physical to do, whether it's saying something to your teammate. And again, kind of just talking the talk of everything's going to be cool. Let's get the next one. And kind of what Meg said, I always say next one, because it truly is next one. Like, you're not taking it out of the back of the goal except to give it to the official. So just really that kind of mentality.
I love that.
What is your bounce back if, you're going to have that day, and every player has that day, but for the field players, they've got, 10 other ones that can kind of pick up their slack if they're having a rough day. As the goalie, you're kind of not allowed to have a rough day. So you get out there, you're in warm-ups, you're not feeling it. How do you get yourself dialed back in, or, past that so it doesn't spiral and keep going? How do you turn that around so that you're just mentally, you can snap out of that?
Gosh, that's hard.
Who's been there?
I've definitely been there. I always try to focus on something else that I can do. So like maybe I couldn't stop a beach ball if it came at me at 2 miles per hour, but I'd always try to go for those ground balls or try to go for more interceptions, something where I could like physically still be a part of it and maybe even prevent a shot from taking so I don't have to miss it. But really turning my energy to what can I do? Like if I can't see it, can I make an interception? Can I get a ground ball? Can I really work with my defense to be like, I have to have this shot, you know, like I'm having a bad day. Can you help me? And really just trying to find other ways to be successful. And, you know, maybe I'll get it back in the second half or whatever, but for the meantime, I try to channel my energy to something else. So then I'm not thinking about me not doing so well, right? I'm trying to find little stepping stones to boost my confidence and to show that I can still contribute. And then usually what happens is, you know, your saving comes back because now you're not thinking about it, you're not overanalyzing it. Your mind is focused somewhere else.
Does that help you too if you have something that's uncontrollable? Like, for example, you've got the sun in your eyes from the right side for the whole first half, you know, and you just can't see anything, you know, is that something, you know, what's your advice for that? You just kind of similar to what you just said?
Yeah, and I think when that's the case, I just end up focusing even more on the ball. Like it kind of like what Meg said at the end there, you know, not worrying so much about what everything else is going in on the defense, like really just focusing on ball and that on-ball defender, almost having, you know, like tunnel vision of it because everything else will be a distraction in addition to the big sunlight in your face.
I'm waiting for those special helmets with the,
you know, we didn't have much sun in the dome, so I didn't have that too often.
That's a good point. Megan, what do you think about that scenario?
Yeah, I think it's for any goalie that's listening, I think it's really awesome to hear, like, you know, Liz Hogan has this problem. Like, you got to remember that. Like, these goalies, fantastic goalies, you know, they get in these kind of tough days. And I think that's really important to remember. Like, no matter who you are, you're going to have these moments where, oh my gosh, I'm not doing well. I'm not getting in your brain, but finding that way. I think that's one of the things that my brother was my goalie coach at Maryland, and all growing up, he was a goalie at Salisbury. You know, there was times that I came at the sidelines. I'm like, I'm not seeing it. Like, I don't know what to do. And he literally just looked at me with a cool mouth and was just like, find a way. Like, nothing more needed to be said. And it was like, okay, like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to have to keep fighting and trying my hardest to make my teammates better during practice, or make my team have my defense be better, like, so I can make that save, you know, like allow that transition to finding a way. Like, my defense is playing awesome, so I need to find a way to make them still look like they're being awesome, because they are, and I'm just not doing well, you know, if that makes sense. So that's probably one of my favorite things, finding a way. And, you know, if that just means maybe not talking as much, because I feel like sometimes I can get carried away with when I'm in that kind of rut, like trying to do everything at once, and remembering, like Liz said, like dialing on that ball just a little bit harder, and one save at a time, I think makes a big difference. And, you know, when you're in practice and you're not in a game situation, I think the best mindset to be is, I want to make my teammates better. That I want to make sure that I'm allowing them to shoot on a goalie that they're going to see at a game or the next practice, you know, and I think that allows that teammate to now keep improving.
I love that. Can you guys, I know Kate has a couple more questions for you, but I really would like to ask you this. So when you're feeling like I'm not having a good day, or things aren't going so well, or maybe, you know, you're getting shellacked like Liz was talking about, but you still have a whole nother half to play, what is the level of importance you two place on breathing? Like taking a deep breath, or kind of collecting yourself, or what do you do to be able to kind of collect yourself? I know you talked about like what you can say to yourself, but how important is it to just take a breath and, you know, talk a little bit about that if you wouldn't mind.
I mean, let's clarify that any kind of breathing is optimal.
But you'd be surprised, goalies hold their breath a lot. And like, there are times when I get warmed up and I feel like I just ran a mile because I didn't breathe, right? Like I just didn't think about it. And it's just, you know, you're trying to really move your body there. So yeah, I mean, huge inhales in your nose, out through your mouth. And I really do find that calms your body. Like it really slows everything down and gets your anxiety level going down a little bit. So I've definitely used that before too.
Awesome.
One of the things that I kind of got taught with basketball, it's funny, in high school, like I played basketball, but I wasn't very good. So there was a lot of times where I was like, oh no, like how do I get back in the groove of this thing? And it was just finding a song. So I kind of carried that into the lacrosse, and even like nowadays, like you always see me, I'm listening to music, like if it's playing, and I'm kind of just like loosening dance, like just kind of toe tapping or doing something just to loosen up my body.
What's your song?
It changes. It's normally country. It's not like an
You can't
exact
say.
song.
Come on.
Song.
Kind of goes through my mind.
What's your favorite? No, I'm gonna make you say one.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift.
It's just something that I try to do, and I don't know if I do it on purpose, but I feel like at the end of in a game, I'm just like, oh, loose because of it.
Wait, no, I didn't hear you. What is a song?
She's gonna make you name a song. She's like, let me think of a clean song.
National championship game. What was it?
I don't know, but anything probably right now by Morgan Wallen, I'm probably
okay. All right, very good.
I love it. All right, I'm going to ask you guys some quick little questions real quick just to get these out because I know some people were asking me to ask these. So one of them is, Liz, you're in the goal, whatever's going on, and the coach is like, hey, it's time to run. Do you run to the sideline and chuck your helmet on the way, or do you stop and take it all off so that you're not dying on the sprint because you want to be first?
We were told we could never take off our gear. So it was never a matter of dropping the helmet. It was just getting on the line and trying to find a goalie friend to run next to.
All right. I love it. Okay, Megan, it's 105 degrees and you're outside. Maybe not 105. I don't know. All right. It's 95 degrees. And you've got, put yourself back in tournament days, right? And you're out there and you're roasting and you got game after game. What are you doing to keep yourself from being that goalie passed out in the corner needing a bucket?
I'm chugging Gatorade. Trying to stay cool under the tent, eating all the tailgate food that's available, and just embracing the hotness at that point because there's nothing you can do.
I love it. I heard, who do I talk to? Bridget Bianco. I don't know if you guys know her, if I just messed up her name. I know I talked to her before with United, and then she told me she used to throw ice down her shirt and like put ice packs inside of all of her gear to stay cool. So I know that's a question that we get a lot. We got the sun question out of the way. What was the other one? How do you decide, Liz, how do you decide when you're a goalie and you're starting to get, starting to specialize and decide this is what you want to do, your stick. So how do you decide how long of it, if you need a long shaft or a short shaft, or you like big pockets or a short pocket, how did you kind of figure out what kind of gear you liked?
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's interesting because they used to have goalie specific length shafts, and I've always thought those have been too long, but those are the best ones to kind of figure out, how long to go. You can keep taking an inch off until it feels right. And then in terms of like depth of pocket, like you just have to be able to throw with the ball, right? Like I think some people want a super baggy pocket, but then they go to clear and it's like, I can't do anything. So I like a little bit wider diamond because it grips the ball more and it has a better rebound, but then it doesn't have to be too deep because then I get that extra hold from the diamond. So trying to mess around, maybe pick up a friend stick, or if you're, on JV playing with a varsity goalie stick, trying to get a feel for what you do like and what you don't like. But with coaches, I know they're always like, oh, my goalie can't clear, but goalie sticks tend to get messed up much more than a field stick with. Like if it gets messed up, it gets messed up. So I always encourage coaches, like, take your goalie stick and try to throw with it because you should be able to throw with it. And if you can't throw with it, it's time to get it restrung.
Good call.
I love it. And any other equipment tips you have? You don't have to like call out brands or anything, but if you, do you have anything like when you're looking for something, try to look for this, or this helped me or whatever? I know, Megan, how tall are you? 6'4"?
5'3" on a good day.
5'3", okay. So
only if I'm wearing cleats.
So do you use a shorter shaft then because you're shorter, or do you like having the longer reach?
I personally, I don't know if it's because I'm shorter, but I just like, it feels comfortable having a shorter stick, so I definitely do play with a shorter stick.
I think a lot of female goalies are shorter. I mean, let's be honest. So I think that's a common.
Exact length shaft. That's the best way to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. All right, well, good. All right, so we've got some equipment questions out of the way. The other one is funny goalie story. Anybody have a funny goal? You got it. I know you've got one.
Yes, Meg.
Yeah, go for it.
So my freshman year at college, we were playing fall ball, and during high school, my last name is Taylor, so I'm sitting in the back of the classroom in high school. I can't read any of the notes on this noteboard. I had friends right next to me, so I'm just like they're showing me their notes, so no big deal. I get through high school completely fine. College comes, fall balls hitting me. I'm like, I don't know the score of the game. So I look at one of my defenders and I'm like, can you tell me the score and how much time's left? And she's like, her name was Nadine, and she looks at me and she's like, what? Like, what do you mean? You don't know? You can't see that? And I'm like, I have no idea how much time's left. And she's like, Megan, we're about to end fall ball. It's start our season and you can't see. So I end up that winter break going to the eye doctor.
You're the goalie.
I'm like considered legally blind, not like terribly blind, but like I can't drive without glasses or contacts.
Oh my God.
So I get contacts in like a world of difference. So I always recommend goalies, if you can't see the scoreboard, get glasses because it will benefit you in the long run.
You should have gone back and tried basketball after that. I mean,
I know. My dad actually mentioned that one time. He was like, maybe you couldn't see the rim. And I was like, I just saw an orange thing. Like, it was no big deal.
Megan, I can actually see Nadine's face.
Yes.
Like, what?
That's hysterical.
That is funny. Liz, you got anything that can top that one?
God, I don't think I can. I mean, I've only been able to see. So.
I think anybody can.
Oh my goodness.
I want those magic contact lenses. I want to know the manufacturer of your magic contact lenses, girl.
You're giving it to every goalie.
With the song of the national championship game, Meg.
That's right.
All right, I got a question for Liz. So Liz is all right. So you're arriving late at a game, right?
Yes.
Okay. You're arriving late at a game, and you have to decide. You got 15 minutes. Do you use it to warm up, or get a good pump up speech? Which one has more value?
Is it 95 degrees out?
It's 105.
105.
And you don't have your glasses.
Gosh, I hope my freshman brought the balls then. I don't know. I think that's an important question because we always talk about like how words are so powerful and, you know, visualization is just so powerful. But now that I'm also 30 years old, the whole warm-up thing seems really important too.
It seems like a good idea, doesn't it?
Maybe I can give them a speech while they're stretching, but I think if I had to choose one, I might actually go for the pump-up speech and just try to do the whole, you know, chip on your shoulder underdog situation and get them going and pray no one pulls a muscle.
Yep. And it's actually scary that situation happens more often than you'd like to think about it happening. Same question, Megan. What do you think?
I take a pump up speech. Warm ups, okay. Don't need them. Once you get in a game and you see the ball and you have a good pep up, like you feel good after a good warm up speech. I always just go back to like Miracle. Like I was in that locker room after Herb Brooks went off. I would be like, I can run through a brick wall at that point. Like I'm ready for anything.
I love it.
Any thoughts for goalies on that warm up? And like, okay, you're running late. You know, a lot of goalies will not step into the cage without a like very consistent. And I know that goalies and routines are important. I understand that can help. You know, there's a whole thing on sports psychology about why routines can help keep you from getting too stressed out and whatnot. But how do you feel about that warm up? And do you feel like goalies need to get more comfortable being able to just get in there and let the drill be the warm up at practice if they don't have time? Or like talk about that just real quick. Liz is nodding, so I'm going to you.
Yeah, I've had it done to me where there's like, all right, we're going to practice no warm up just in case, you know, you have to go in the second half and you don't get a warm up. So again, I think it's kind of like anything else. You have to practice it. You have to know what it feels like, and more emotionally, I think, than physically of how to handle that. But I do think if you have a little bit of time, maybe no one to warm you up. I'm a huge fan of wall ball. I used to do it in like opposing teams' bathrooms just because that's a great place to do it with the brick wall. And, you know,
I don't know how the mirrors got cracked.
Yeah, I know. Got that net, right? I always did wall ball just, again, to get your eyes going, get your hands going. But if you can't do it, just mentally kind of sit there and kind of prep through everything.
Awesome. What do you think, Megan?
Yeah, if you can do it, I recommend it. I'm a big person. Like I like getting warmed up, but if it comes down to, like I said, a speech or a warm up, I'm definitely going to take the speech to be with my team and have those moments together. But if you can, I think it's important to allow that person that's warming you up know what you like. Mm-hmm. Every goalie is going to be different. Every goalie is going to like to be warmed up a different way. So, you know, if you don't like being shot on 100%, tell them. I personally am not the biggest fan of hopping in a goal and having someone rip one on me like right away for a warm up. I'm like not that tough to handle that. So, I tell them, it's always funny. I always laugh. I always told Caitlin, I'm like, can you go like 78%? Like I'm very like crazy. Like that's a little too much. Let's dial it back just a little bit more. And tell them like, if you just want to go all over, let them know. I personally like to go stick high to non-stick to kind of work my way down to all over. But I've had some goalies that like to literally be almost past the ball so they can get their steps and fundamentals down. And I have other goalies that want me to shoot as hard as I can. So I think that's really important. If you do have that ability and someone's warming you up, make sure you let them know how you want it to be warmed up.
Yeah. Let me ask, Liz, when did you start playing goalie?
I didn't start playing until my freshman year in high school. And then I didn't play that summer, so I didn't start playing again until my sophomore year.
Okay, so you are standing in front of freshman Liz. I don't know what freshman Liz looks like, but you're standing in front. Did you have braces?
No, I actually never had braces. My twin sister had them twice, though.
She got perfect teeth. That's not fair. All right, so you're standing in front of no braces, Liz, and you're about to tell yourself from the future something you wish you had known when you started playing goalie. What is it?
To enjoy the ride. I think I've gone through different stages in my career where I've had a lot of fun with it, and then I took it a little bit too seriously in the sense of expectations from other people, other coaches, and almost kind of lost myself in the joy of the game. So to really go out there and have fun with all of the hard work and everything that kind of prospered for it, I kind of think of what Meg said. Like, you're in an overtime game, you've done something right. Like, it's part of the joy of being a goalie is taking up those opportunities and really enjoying them and having fun with it. So enjoy it more and kind of stick true to yourself.
Awesome. I love that. Megan, what do you got? When did you start playing goalie? Yes.
I loved everything Liz said. Like that is like awesome. I would probably say the same thing, but just to keep it a little different. It's okay. I would always say like it's okay to play another sport. If I'm talking to freshman year me in high school, there was times where, getting pelted with a ball was really mentally tough. And the way I got through it was, okay, I'm going to play field hockey. I'm going to play basketball. Just being able to go out there and with your friends and kind of play different sports. And I think that overall allows you to be a better athlete, a better team player. And there's so many benefits to it. So I know nowadays it's really hard to get those different sports because of how the schedule works. So even if you can go outside and play a kickball game with your neighbors or just go out there and still have fun, I think that's the important thing. You need to have fun, like Liz says, and enjoy the moment. And those memories and moments come all over. And it might not just be on the lacrosse field. It might be playing catch with somebody when you're not doing PE class. Like, it kind of happens all over the place.
Coach Tucker, what would you tell a goalie at a tournament? They're trying to get recruited, and for a goalie getting recruited, you have limited time. A lot of times you're playing one half of a game and the coach might come for 5 minutes and they see you got the 3 shots that you let in. I mean, that's extremely difficult recruiting when you are a goalie, right? And sometimes they switch which half you're in, the coaches at the wrong time. So you're standing in front of a whole group of goalies who are about to go play in this tournament. What is your advice that you would tell them before they go off to play for the weekend?
I think the biggest thing I would tell them is that eyes are on them, and how they react to whether it's a big save or whether it's a ball that goes in is what I will remember. So I don't care if that kid just got scored on 3 times in a row. If she starts, jabbing at her defense and talking smack with them or gets down on herself, that's not going to go well for me in my recruiting notes. But if those 3 balls went in, but she's hustling back out there, she's patting her defenders on the head, she's encouraging her draw kid, and she's showing that she can bounce back, I can work with a goalie that does that. So I think that for me, it's recognizing that eyes are always on you. And it's really hard on a goalie to tell herself you can't take a play off. But if you can get used to that and know that my job is not just to stop the ball, that's the main job, but how I react. And I also, for the kids making the big saves, like if you're taunting somebody or you're like, that's not going to go well either. Right. So I think just, like Liz was saying earlier, have that swagger, be true to who you are, but know that the way you react, whether you're saving it or whether it's going in, is what's going to get noticed, because what we're recruiting when we go and we watch kids play, we're recruiting your potential, because we're saying we can bring you into our program and we're going to work with you, and we want to know that what you're bringing to the table, we can really work with. So we're recruiting your potential, and body language, how you respond to coaching, how you respond to your teammates, how you treat them. That's the stuff that really is important to me.
That body language is so important. I know when I was on the sidelines and I was doing recruiting and I saw goalies slamming their sticks or yelling, and I know some goalies kind of get the idea because this is the way they're coached, and maybe some coaches like this, so everyone's different, but you know, they think that they look more dialed in and focused when they're angry and they're slamming around. But I think, you know, most coaches aren't going to look at it that way. They're going to look at, okay, as a coaching coach, and I'm in the game and I see the opposing team and their goalie slamming the goal, I'm like, all right, we're done, you know, goalie's out of here. We're mentally checked out. So we're ready to go tighten the screws, right? So
I actually had a huge problem with that my freshman year in high school. I got to the point where, one, I would bench shafts. My mom literally told my coach and me, if you hit your pipe one more time, you are not playing in the next game. Like,
those are expensive.
Yeah, I know. I had a big temper problem. I was a little bit of a punk in high school, but you know, yeah, I mean, sometimes it takes like a physical, like your mom's got to get in there and be like, stop doing that. You look ridiculous. So it's definitely something I've had to work on throughout time.
I appreciate you saying that, because to be honest with you, sometimes people are able to really channel like that, I don't want to say maybe anger, but like that competitiveness, right? And again, I think for me, it's all in the delivery. So if whoever's watching you is recognizing that your energy and all, it's like for the good, like to make good things happen. But like you said, if you had to check yourself a little bit because you were just being a brat, then that was smart to be like, oh, my mom just called me out and I got to knock this off.
I can't afford any more shafts.
There you go. And like Megan said, like kind of cool as a cucumber, you know, like that's really what you want to, I think, end up getting back to. And I know we're kind of wrapping up, and I know, Kate, you're going to want to wrap things up in a little bit, but I have to tell you both what a complete joy and pleasure it has been watching both of you not only play in the goal, because it takes a very special breed of person to get in the goal cage, but how you have been as teammates. And I'm so thankful that both of you are involved in coaching and influencing young women and athletes to be the best versions of themselves. So I'm really impressed and proud. And I wanted to make sure Kate and I could take a hot second to tell you both, like, the joy that we got, maybe not if we played against you, but the joy that we got watching you guys just thrive in that position. And it was just really fun, really fun.
And you know, there've been several, you know, great goalies that have come along in the past, but it's been a while and few and far between with that role model for goalies. And we now have it started a couple years ago with some new people coming in and really shining, but we now have this like people wanting to be a goalie because they see you guys.
Yep.
That's huge. You know, and Megan, for you to go out and win awards that no goalie has ever won before says, hey, you know what? We are important on this field, and we can do this. We can make a mark and we can make a difference. And, you know, the goalie used to be, you know, where we would put the unathletic kid, right? Oh, we're going to put the kid that can't play in the goal. And that's no longer a thing, because we've realized how incredibly athletic and, you know, that goalies are. And so it's really appreciated just having you guys out in the field and making a difference in the way that you role model yourself as well, and the way that you're active and vocal in the community too, and all the camps you guys go to and that sort of thing. So really appreciate that. We're going to wrap up, but I do want to ask you one final, if you could just give some sort of advice to some goalie who's sitting on here watching you guys right now, and you just want to give them, whether it's some encouragements, whatever. And then also I do want to, so I don't forget, please email me, both of you, if you have any camps, if you have anything coming up, because I will promote it and I'll put it on the website, because I know that people are dying to come and learn from you all and have a million more. We could have done this for probably 6 hours with questions for you guys. So if you have a place where people can ask questions, or if you just have camps coming up, let me know. I know camps are little, but online camps maybe. But yes, any advice that you would just like to just pass along to our goalies out there?
Yeah.
That's a big question.
Well, I think we first now know how Meg can be such cool as a cucumber when the coaches were around because she couldn't see them on the sidelines.
Oh, you were yelling at me?
Someone was recruiting me. I had no idea. I think my biggest advice for goalies would be the best version of yourself, not the second-rate version of someone else. And it kind of goes back to what Meg said about how every goalie is different. And this is something that I preach to any goalie that I try to train is, you know, we're all built differently. You know, Kayla Trainer scores differently than Michelle Tumlo, and, you know, Marie McCool is different than Taylor Cummings, and goalies should be no different. You know, it's great to look at others and try to find different techniques, but you should never really be trying to be, you know, the next Meg Taylor. Like, I'd love to see someone be the greatest of, you know, whoever they are out there. And I think that also goes true in life too. You know, great to get different ideas from everyone, but, you know, everyone needs to be their unique selves for this world to benefit. And I think it's just, you know, huge to be yourself and really try to be the best version of yourself.
Love that.
Awesome.
That was really awesome. Wow. It's really hard to follow.
You could do it, Megan. We know you can.
I guess I have two things. My first thing would be, I know a couple of you guys with this whole situation going on, like recruiting. You know, I was not a goalie that was recruited really. I got one email and it was from Maryland. I took a visit, and you know
that's a good email though.
Yeah. Not bad there, Meg.
One, but it was Maryland.
You probably didn't see the other ones.
But during that time, you know, all my friends are getting all this crazy stuff, and, you know, I fell in love with the school, and I think that's really important. I think there are so many schools out there, and during this time, I know you might feel like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do it? Because I know that's probably like been aching on your guys' minds, and, you know, things work out. I guess that would be my second thing of advice. Things are going to work out, you know, and it might take a while, especially what's going on in the world, but, you know, things are going to get better, and things are going to get better because I truly believe everybody is awesome, and we have the ability to be awesome all the time. In school, you guys have the ability to be awesome. In life, on the lacrosse field, I think don't set the standard low. Like, continue to push yourself and continue to make other people around you aware and just love life. I think that's something cool. You get hit with a ball. Like, it's not the craziest, best thing ever, but you can make it so awesome just by high-fiving your teammate or a little thing. So just try your hardest during this crazy time, and even if you're not seeing a lot of people, to make the people around you better.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a resource for kids that are looking for, you know, just like things to look up and train on their own right now? Do you have any resources you recommend, or do you have any personally that you've put out?
I mean, I do online clinics and individuals with goalies, but I really just learned a lot just from watching. I mean, growing up, there wasn't really any women's lacrosse on TV, so I watched a lot of the guys play, but YouTube now is just so crazy with highlight reels and, you know, real full games, and you can go on ESPN and watch that, and it's just, there's just so much stuff out there to kind of soak up all of this information.
Cool. Okay.
Well, yeah, awesome. This was fun.
Yes, Coach Tucker, do you have any closing advice for our goalies?
You know, I think that just mad respect for jumping in the goal cage, right? Like, I think appreciating the fact that you guys are doing something that probably most every other person on your team would not do. And so not losing sight of the fact that you are very special, that you are taking something on that is very challenging. Having a good mindset towards it is an amazing thing, and you are in charge of kind of how your world and your energy goes with that strong mindset. But just, you know, I give our goalies out there, goalie worlds, so much credit and mad respect, because it's something real special you guys do. So never lose sight of that.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's huge. Goalies are incredible, and the way they climb back in there is amazing. I really appreciate you guys coming on here. This is a dream come true for many goalies to get lots of just direct knowledge from the two of you and get insights from Coach Tucker. So I'm going to have this up on our YouTube channel within a couple days for the replay. And I guess we're wrapping up another episode. So Thank you guys so much for coming on.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate the opportunity to kind of talk to everyone. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Also, remember, you guys,
Liz again.
opportunity. You're looking at opportunities, right? Instead of don't look at failures, look at opportunity. Well, remember, John was on here at the beginning. Everybody have a good night. Stay safe.
Yes.
And we'll see you. Hopefully, we'll bring you guys back in the future if you guys would like to, and we'll do another one.
That'd be awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you.
See you later.
Everybody.
Bye.